Ah.
Yeah, it wasn't doing that 20 minutes ago. Maybe it's raining on the other end of town.
You saw raccoons out here playing
Yeah.
in the... It's like, damn it, where are they now?
But where's all this water coming from?
Yeah.
It wasn't doing this earlier. And this is what? How long ago did I post that first video?
It is 8:20 Eastern PM time, Friday the 13th, October 13th, and 2023, East Palestine, Ohio. Got a call from a concerned resident and a text. Sulphur Run Creek, one moment, was a slow trickle. All of a sudden, no rain, nothing, and all of a sudden, it became just flooded with water, just flowing down. It's been flowing probably for over an hour now. We're going to go see where they're releasing this water up by the crash site. Is this from... It's going to rain tomorrow. Are they trying to make room out of the tanks that they're holding water in? And by doing so, they're releasing contaminated water into the creeks. Let's see what's going on. If that's the case, the towns and cities to the south of us aren't going to be very happy that they're getting contaminated water flushed into the creeks. The gift that keeps on giving. The contamination here never ends. And isn't it funny? This happens at night. Always happens after dark. The mysterious things like this. So we're going to check out Sulphur Run and see the source of where all this water is coming from. Because it's certainly not coming from precipitation. And we've seen this before, where they release thousands of gallons of water into the creek. So we're going to see where this is coming from.
I mean, it wasn't enough about to cause all that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, look at the water here.
Look at the water. Look at the height of some of the trees, like the bank. You see the height on the bank.
Wow. Look at the amount of water that came down here. The upper yellow line shows you how much water they flushed down in a matter of seconds. That yellow line is the watermark, meaning that is where the water was up to in the bank and the trees, and as it receded you can see that it left everything wet. It's a darker color than above it. And then the red line represents the actual creek level. They raised the level a foot. All at night. You can see all the way down the bank. Look how deep this was. There's no rain here, nothing. And this happened between maybe 7:30 and 8:30. They just sent a whole bunch of water down this creek. And I can't think of anything besides holding tanks.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because everything is dry up creek. As Randy pointed out, these plants are all knocked down. The grass is knocked down. But the most telltale thing is look at the water line. That's a good foot, 12 to 14 inches above that water. I'd say that's about a foot. So this creek was a foot higher. Look at the dark line all the way down the bank. Funny it never happens in the daytime.
Yeah.
And anything stored in those tanks, that's supposed to go in injection wells off-site. And our neighbors to the south of us are going to be real happy that we're sending this water down to them. But it appears to be over now. Dang. Look at that. Would have been nice to be here and film that when it was that
You
high.
can see the sediment flow, how it's being pushed down this way.
Oh, look yeah. Look at this log here, too.
Look, yeah. You can see it on the boards right there. Oh, it was.
Wow. Look at the water markers on the boards. How much higher? They sent a massive amount of water down here. And where is this water coming from? And I wonder what their intentions are for doing so. You want to go first? Wow. Look at that. This is all wet. That's how high that water was. It hasn't rained. This is all wet.
Look how high the water mark is on this boulder in the creek.
Where's that?
This comes off the Parker Law surround track.
Look at that. See these leaves on this island just crushed against that rock. Water snake.
Notice the water
Yeah.
mark on the underside of this tree.
Look at that. Look at this. All that grass pushed down. There's a lot of water coming down.
Here's another shot of the grass pushed down forcefully from the water in the direction of the current. By its watermark, you can see where the water rushed over this fallen tree. We are about to get to Norfolk Southern's property. You're going to see a tunnel, and there are train tracks going over this tunnel. And the creek runs right under the tunnel. We cannot go any further than that. We didn't want to get arrested for trespassing. And here you can see what I am talking about. We had to turn around at this point.
That water came. Well, look at the sides of the. There is no precipitation. That water is on the sides, up the sides of the inside of the tunnel.
The yellow arrow shows you the water mark, and the red arrow shows you the current level of the creek.
Yeah. We know the source was beyond this bridge.
Yeah.
Don't know much more than that. Somebody sent
Watch the water marks on this fallen tree as I step over it. Closer look. The areas that I have outlined in yellow are all dry. Just before they flooded this with water, the entire tree would have been dry. But the areas in red are all wet. Remember, there was no rain, no precipitation. And where I've drawn arrows inside the yellow circles, you can see the splashes of water up upon the dry roots of the tree. This moisture was caused by the violent rush of water sent rapidly down as it went both on and over the log. You can also see the water marks in the bank behind the fallen tree, and the tree next to it in the water. You can see the watermark left upon its base. The yellow is the actual surface of the water now. Look at those items carefully as I play it back in super slow motion. You can see the entire fallen tree. The part that is above the water is totally wet. If you look at the bank behind the roots, you can see the water line that was caused by the rushing water. Notice the difference in color of the dry roots and the wet tree. And here's the bank. You can see the bank is all wet, about a foot above the actual surface of the water. And we will see the tree, the base of the tree right there. Look at that water line. Notice the water line on this tree that's fallen across the creek.
Yeah.
Here's another look at it. It is a good foot over the current water's surface. As we are walking back downstream, here we come upon that boulder. Look at the watermark. Look how high it is on the rock. Keep an eye out on the right here for the watermark on the tree coming from the bank. And here's another still photo look at it. If you're still having trouble, the yellow line represents the watermark, how high the water was when they rushed it down. The red mark is the current surface of the water. As we come upon these boards that Norfolk has placed in the creeks, look at the water line, how high the water line is above the current level of the water. Here's another look at it. Imagine the amount of water it took to raise the water level to that height above the regular surface.
I mean, that was a massive amount of water.
As I'm poking here, look at the watermark on the board. Look how high the watermark is here on the boards. It's at least a foot above the regular surface of the water.
Yeah. Well. Usually it's laying there. Yeah.
Here is yet another look at it. The yellow is the watermark. The red is the current water surface. They flooded a lot of water down here, fast.
Usually when I come down here, usually that buoy has a little pack in there. Yeah. Alright, yeah.
We figured it was time to head home, so we headed back to the cars.
Something like that happens. That's not hundreds of gallons, that's thousands. Yeah. I'm out of here.
Alright. I don't know what it proved, but good to see it.
Well, you've seen the water marks, you know.
Yeah.
We know it definitely was off, so.
Yeah. And we know where it was coming from beyond at least the point. Alright, have a good night.
Unfortunately, when I got home and showed Tammy the video, she said because there was no reference point, she couldn't determine how high the watermark was off the water. So I went back down to the creek.
Okay. I got home. My wife said that looks like 4 inches. It's probably about 14. Well, we'll see. Here's a tape measure. All right. Yeah, 11 and a half. 11 and a half inches. Here's the bank. There's the water line. Man, you're even talking higher there. It depends upon where the water hit the bank. So 10 to 11 and a half inches. That's the water line. And you've got the width of this creek. Somebody can figure out the volume of water that had to come down here to flow for 2 hours. And I'm getting out of here because I don't have my mask on. So I just wanted a quick measurement. Damn it, never fails. Fucking shit on you. I'm gonna wash this shit off. Alright, to recap what's going on here. A concerned citizen texted me a video and said the creek was a trickle, and then all of a sudden it was like rapids. So this was about maybe a little after 8, Friday the 13th, October 13th, 2023. That's Sulphur Run. And we're like, well, it's not raining. And we've seen this before, but we haven't seen it for a while, especially since they're sending non-contaminated water off-site to different parts of Ohio, other states, to be buried in injection wells hundreds of feet below the ground. So we haven't seen a big release of water, and maybe because it's always done at night. They released a whole bunch of water. I'm going to say it had to be thousands, tens of thousands of gallons into the creek, because for that to flow that much for 2 hours, and to get that, what you're going to see on the video, water that high up the bank, it was flowing like that. That was thousands and thousands of gallons of water. So I don't know how happy our neighbors to the south will be. But funny how it always happens at night. This stuff always goes on at night. When I first got there, I thought I heard pumps. There was some kind of machinery going off. And I told the person at first, I said, no, it's not coming from up here, because the water is pretty low. Keep in mind, by the time I got up there, the water down through town had already been flowing very heavily for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so by that time, I think I got up to the origin of the water. By the time I got up there, they were done pumping it down. So then Randy DeHaven met me there, and we walked up the creek, and we noticed how high the water was up on the trees and on the banks. It is a shame that we didn't get there in time to see if we were notified just a little bit earlier, or if I took action earlier and got up there really quickly right after this person texted me the little video, then we would have been able to see the water that high. That would have been incredible video. But that water is almost a foot. The water line is a foot higher than the water is now. Imagine that water rushing down there with such force. And it's completely dry here. It's not as if some massive rainstorm caused the creeks to be flooded all of a sudden on a Friday night, October 13th, 2023. No, they're sending water down that creek, flushing it down. It's just an easy way to get rid of it. They do it at night, and who's the wiser? They don't give a shit. They do what they want. That much water so is not coming from a, I don't know. In fact, I can't even think of where they would say that water would be coming from. So we walked the creek all the way up to near the crash site, up to the tracks, where it then becomes Norfolk's property, and we don't want to cross and get arrested for trespassing. But that water that they sent down the creek came from that area on that side of the tracks, because you'll see in the video that the water line is higher than the existing water surface level all the way up the creek, and then you can see under where the train tracks cross the creek, you can see under the bridge where the water on the side of the concrete tunnel, the watermark from where they sent the water down is much higher than the actual creek is now currently flowing. So they sent it down right up from the crash site area. So that's all we have tonight. It has been raining non-stop all day. We got limbs down. Just
just an experiment. I'm going to see how fast the creek is flowing where the woman filmed. The very nice woman, let me say, filmed the video last night, the exact same spot. Let's see how the creek is flowing. It's probably going to be pretty fast, but wouldn't it be funny if it's not even flowing as quickly as last night after it's been raining since early morning, and it is now 8:30 at night. So we will see. So this is after an entire full day of rain. It has not stopped. It's barely stopped raining today. And it is flowing nothing like it was for that 2 hours last night. So we've got a couple markers. So this is after an entire full day of rain. And that creek is flowing nothing like it was for the 2 hours that they released that water last night. And we've got a couple markers. We've got that triangular piece of concrete, and the rock in front of it in the water. So we're going to compare that with the video taken by the nice, polite, attractive woman. And we will see. You can see here from tonight's video that there is very little water flowing between the triangular rock and the one that is showing its flat edge exposing itself in the creek, the rock in front of it. The rock was totally covered with water from the two videos last night. It is now exposed to the air, only its bottom edge is being touched by the flowing water. Now compare tonight's shot with last night's shot. Look at the amount of water between the pyramid or the triangle rock and the rock that is now buried underwater, the flat rock in front of it in the creek. Look at the amount of water flowing. Here is last night's later video at 8:30 p.m. The water is still flowing much more rapidly than a full day of rain today. That's after 2 hours. You can still see the flat rock in the creek is totally buried in water. The more I watch this current video, I see the big differences. The flat rock is not covered in water. There's very little water flowing between the triangular rock and the flat rock. And all the other rocks upstream are exposed. Whereas last night, even under the bridge, all of those rocks were covered with water, and it was all fast-flowing rapids from under the bridge. Look at it now. All the rocks are exposed. So this is after an entire full day. Look again at last night's video. It has not stopped. It's barely stopped raining. Look at all the rapids under the bridge and notice that no rocks are exposed. They're all buried beneath the water. There's a theory around town that since it didn't rain for a while and it was going to rain all day today, they needed to get rid of contaminated water because they're not able to get rid of the water out of the tanks quickly enough, and they would have possibly overflowed or backed up. That's just one theory. Why would we know? Because we're lied to the entire time here. All I know is that an entire day of rain cannot match what they did in a 2-hour period of time. So I gave it a second thought because I said, hey, it rained all day. It's probably going to be even worse than what was going on last night. I wanted to get a picture of the creek pre-contaminated water release so that you could see the difference. I was going to go down at 8:30, which is now. And then I figured, I called and asked the woman exactly where she shot the video, and I got the exact location. But then as I walked out the door, I realized that it was raining all day. And I was running around all day and it was raining, but I didn't even think of that. Actually, I think Tammy said, well, it's going to be bad because it's been raining all day. Well, keep in mind, that stream has become a slow trickle. And I wasn't going to go because I figured it would be flowing down even harder than last night when they released water into the creek, so that you wouldn't see the difference if I filmed tonight. And then I said, well, wait a minute. What's it gonna hurt to check it out? It takes me 3 minutes to get there. So it's gonna be even more powerful if after it rained all day and it still couldn't match the rapids created when they sent the thousands of gallons of water down into the creek last night.